Just how much does the right location matter when you're heading out with the camera? At the back end of last year, well, just a few months ago actually, thinking about it, I went out asking what makes a good photograph. On that day, I focused on the aspect of light and how the right amount of light can transform even the best of scenes from looking drab and washed out to looking absolutely spectacular. Of course, as I discussed in that video, light on its own I don't think would ever be enough if you want to end up with a good photo. If you want to end up with that, then you need a combination of all three elements, those being a light, composition, and of course the third being the location. You can, after all, head out with the camera and you can find some truly beautiful locations, and that has been the case for me ever since I started getting out doing landscape photography around 4 or 5 years ago now. The trouble is you can equally find some truly bad, some truly average locations, and the trick is, how do you find the former whilst avoiding the latter? It was back in the summer of 2024 when I first made the trek out here to the Kent Marshes. I remember it quite well actually. Been sitting at home, scouring the internet, seeing what I could find in terms of new locations to visit with the camera. I was on Google Maps looking at the satellite imagery, and these ruined buildings just stood out. And the moment I saw them, I thought, yeah, I've got to go check that out. When I first made that trip up here, I knew there was going to be an element of risk. It's a 3-mile trek to this part of the Kent Marshes. So I could have been wasting my time. I could have got out here and found nothing. But there was a little voice at the back of my head. It said, Neil, I want to go on an adventure. Let's go out and see what we can find with the camera. We might come across something new. We might come across those ruined buildings that we saw on Google Maps. And when I got out here, that little voice, it could not have been more correct. What's handy about this location though, standing here right now, shooting across the Kent Marshes, looking out across the ruined buildings at the ruined munition works, is the fact that I've got my 100 to 400mm with me today, my telephoto lens. Just gives me that little bit of extra reach, as this is as close as what I can get to the ruined buildings to capture them. One advantage though that I have today that I didn't have the last time I came here back in 2024, I've got my drone now. I can send the drone up, send the drone across these marshes, just get a different perspective of what is a great subject matter. Now, I said it recently, but there's 2 types of categories that I like to put my locations into. The first category, it's the sort of location that photographers flock to. It's the sort of locations in the Lake District, in the Peak District, Mamtor, Lee Tarn, Derwent Water, Crome Hill, those sorts of locations where when you head out to those spots, you know you're almost guaranteed to end up with something, because countless photographers have been successful before you, and countless photographers will be successful in getting a decent shot after you've been there as well. The second category that I tend to put my locations in is the sort of place that I'm out visiting today. You don't see many photographers out here, not landscape photographers. It's a barren landscape for the most part. There's nothing overly of interest. So not many photographers have ventured out here in the past. However, I love coming out to these locations because whilst quite often it's a barren landscape, you never know what you might find. There's always something that you might come across worth shooting, worth sharing. I guess what's great about these locations is how unique they are, how untouched they are. You come out here with the camera, you're potentially going over untouched ground that no photographer's been to before, so you go and find something really new. Of course, there's nothing wrong with going out to the likes of the Lake District, the Peak District, both of which are magnificent locations. You get to capture some magnificent landscapes. Coming out here to a more unique location, if you manage to find something, it's almost more rewarding. Take me coming out here back in 2024. I took the risk to walk 3 miles when, in photography terms, it could have all been for nothing. But I decided to come out here, managed to capture something unique. Of course, there's nothing wrong though, going out to a less than unique location, going out to the Lake District, going out to the Peak District. As I've said, I like to think that when I go to those locations, what you're doing is, instead of capturing the same shot that everyone else has captured, you're capturing a different iteration, you're capturing that composition, you're capturing that scene in a new light. Because when we go out with the camera, we're freezing time effectively. Now I have the approach that you're freezing time because let's think of an example. You're standing on the edge of Ryder Water here in the Lake District. You're shooting towards the boathouse. Countless photographers have captured the same shot that you're shooting before you've been there, and they're going to capture it countless times long after you've been there as well. Now you can have the attitude that, yeah, you're not going to get something unique, but equally you're not going to capture something the exact same as what they've captured either. I mean, if you're going to be able to do that, what you've got to do is you've got to stand in the exact same spot, you've got to have your camera set up the exact same way, and you need the conditions to be exactly the same as what they've captured in the past that drew you to that spot in the first place. You need every bit of cloud to be in the exact same kind of place. You need the light to be the same. You maybe need the colour to be the same. I mean, if you can achieve all of that, good luck to you. I guess the biggest frustration for me in terms of locations is I find myself rotating the same spots each year. New year comes around and it's just a case of rehashing the same ones I went out to the previous year. Last year was different though, and I'm sure it'll be different again as well this year. I got out into new parts of Kent. I went over into neighbouring Sussex. I explored Surrey for the first time. I went up into London. So many new places still, even around me, worth visiting. I guess even then though, it can get a bit bland, can get a bit boring, can get a bit repetitive, rotating those same locations each and every year, new year, oh, let's start them again, revisit them, see if I can find a different type of composition. Would I like to try and get out to new locations each and every week? Yeah, of course I would. Who wouldn't? There's so much of this country worth exploring with the camera. I just don't have the funds, I don't have the time. I'm a hobbyist photographer. I get out doing whatever I can, whenever I can, and I have great fun in the process. You know, I like to think that in a world that's been explored over and over, in this small part of the world that has been photographed time and time again, that there are unique spots worth heading out to, worth exploring with the camera. The difficulty, the challenge, He's trying to find them though, but they are out there. See you soon.